if you just want to introduce yourself, just your first name.
Sure, Geno.
Yep. So I'm just conducting some street interviews for my YouTube channel, Lifetime Productions. Just basic questions about your life. You can go into as much detail or as little detail as you feel comfortable with. So the first one is, how do you think you would define yourself as a person?
Easygoing.
Yep.
Volatile, I guess. I'm forever changing and reinventing myself. I've just like in the last 10 years, for example, I've gone from selling my soul to the public service, working at Centrelink for 12 years, and then tapped out of there with encouragement from my beautiful wife to find a job that suited me better. So then I got into tourism, been tour guiding for the last 4 years. And just because tourism's so quiet in Tassie in the winter, I've started working in hospitality, and now I've signed off on tourism for a while because I'm loving hospitality. I'm just forever changing. 10 years ago I was probably a full-on carnivore, and in that time I've transitioned to somewhere between a vegan and a sustainable eater, and wife and 3 kids, so whenever today's a nice day off for me. Kids are at school and the wife's busy with work, so I actually get a bit of me time, but normally it's all about family and keeping the kids happy and being a good dad.
So we're getting you in your true essence today. You said the first thing that you define yourself as is an easygoing person.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, totally.
All right, and the second question sort of leads on from that. What would you say that you're the most passionate about out of all your passions, or whatever amount of passions that you may have, what would you say you're the most passionate about?
Happiness and the light side of life, and trying to make sure those around me get infected with it.
And do you want to expand? And I suppose the last answer leads into what makes you happy, I suppose.
Yeah. Everything makes me happy. I think I've had enough lives now in this one and I've done lots of travel around the world with people and solo and stuff. I think I've just had enough life experiences that I always just pick the eyes out of what's going on and find the positive in it and thrive off that. Yeah. And if people around me are down and out, then try and lift them up, find the positives in their world and focus on that for them and lift them up.
Yeah. What are you most proud of in your whole life, do you think?
It's cliche, but I have to say my family.
Your immediate family?
My kids, yeah. I for a long time in my younger life never wanted kids and never thought I would ever have kids, and now I've got 3, and I look around and see, compare my kids to all the other kids going on, and I don't think I'm blowing my own trumpet. People even give us feedback, like they want to know the formula we used for raising our kids, because all 3 have just turned out to be awesome. So they're kind of like my legacy and proudest bit of life. Yeah.
And do you think that's because it comes down purely just to communication? You just communicate well with them. Do you think that's a big factor?
Communication's huge. Yeah, my wife and I have always talked to them like they're humans rather than ignorant little beings of some sort. We just kept it. Probably talk to them in a more mature and open, honest way than a lot of people do kids that age.
And was that just an instinctive thing that you...
Yeah, it wasn't in any of the books. In fact, I threw most of the books away. I got bombarded when we had our first. I got bombarded with how to be a dad books, and kind of helped that I'm not much of a reader anyway, so I didn't really follow any of the rules and just treated them like I want to be treated, but in actual fact it's the exact way my old man treated me. My dad's probably my best friend on the planet, so I guess I just follow the same legacy.
Yeah, that's great. And then the last question, what do you think a lot of people say, I have no regrets in my life, I have no regrets, which is a bit of a cliche in itself, but if you break everything down, everyone has a regret or some regrets. So if you thought about that for a second, what do you think would be your biggest regret in life, if you had to think about it,
My biggest regrets, they're like specific little things, specific little days, rather than some sort of envelope thing. Back in 2002, my uncle offered me his house for like $70,000 because I was working full time for the government, and I was too busy being a silly partying, piss my paycheck up a wall kind of guy, and thought, nah, I don't want to be shackled down with a mortgage. And then here we are, only really in the scheme of things a short time later, and it was like, oh no, 70 grand, I was so stupid. Other things, I'll never forget the day I got my ear pierced, and this is to do with my relationship with my dad. I asked my dad if I could get my ear pierced, and he said no way. And trying to call my bluff, as I know all too well, he said I could get my ear pierced the day I got my nose pierced. So I went around to my sister's house with a bag of ice and a safety pin and pierced my own nose, and then shortly after that went and got my ear pierced. And when I came home with my nose was irrelevant. When I came home with my pierced ear, my old man just went to water and ran out of the house. He was so disappointed in me, and it's such a silly little thing in hindsight, but just to know that I did that to him was probably my biggest regret.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? And why did he hold that so strongly, that opinion?
He's just a bit old-fashioned. That's about the only way he's old-fashioned. That and tattoos. He thinks it's people butchering themselves.
But it just shows that you must have a huge amount of respect for him to look back on that and feel bad that you upset him.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'll carry that one forever, I reckon. I'm sure I saw him cry other stages in life, but in my memory banks, that's the first one I can ever pull up. So it pisses me off that I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I was going to ask you a question in regards to the last question with your children. You bring up your children, your family. Do you think that just going back to that briefly and quickly? Do you think that having children at a slightly, when you've had a bit more life experience, really enabled you've developed all those coping mechanisms with yourself and your communication styles more refined? Do you think that?
Without doubt, yeah. I thought you were actually going to say at an older age there. I was going to pull you up. I think I was 26 when we had our first, and my wife was 21. So in the scheme of like modern society, we were kind of like young breeders, but certainly life experience made a huge difference on it. Yeah.
So even those 8 years as an adult were invaluable.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right,
and that's forever changing. That's still ongoing now. Like the kids are getting into hobbies, and so I'm getting into the same hobbies. I guess I'm a bit of I don't really want to grow up, so if they're into something and it's a chance for me to stay young and happy with them, then I'll jump on board. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much for your time. I appreciate you putting aside the time.
No worries. Thanks. Cool, man. All the best.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. Good.